Hello, welcome to Indie Tutorials. My name is Guillermo and I would like to thank the patrons supporting this channel. Today let's start talking about armors or equipment. Normally you will have a mesh, a character with the parts of the armor set in the same hierarchy. This is the, let's say, the best way to have it in Unity engine. If you are working in Unreal, for example, you will have each mesh as a separate object already. So this is how in Unreal works, but in Unity ideally you will have everything in your character already, all the parts, just to hide them and show it as you need. So we have this character right now, this male avatar. Let me click in the avatar component here so we can go through the objects we have. So we have this male mesh, and then we have all these parts. So what we want to do from ORK Framework is to be able to hide and show these parts when equipping, let's say, the boots, the cape, the helmet, without having, in this case, to be using an equipment viewer. We are going to use the equipment viewer to show the sword, the shield, some other equipments that are not bound to our original mesh in this case. And because also we have a female version, and remember these characters I already renamed the mesh itself, they had this long name, and we are going to do the same also for the submesh parts in order to get them have the same name. That will help us to build some sort of generic schematic that can be used for both the female and the male characters later on when we build our character customization screen. But anyhow, let me, for example, let's open up the prefab again. So we have this character prefab. Let me make some room, and what we are going to do or start doing in this video, so we go to the mesh, we have the male mesh here. It's for example, let's get this character with the less clothing. So I will just select everything here except for the head, let's say head 1, and click on in the inspector and click the visible toggle. So now we have our character in underwear, right? So what I meant about having these parts being shown on or hidden is, for example, let's take this helmet and let's click the visibility toggle, so then we will show this helmet as an equipment. If we had, for example, the hair also, let's select hair 1 on this character, you will see that if we try to equip the helmet, the hair is occluding through the mesh. So we are going to cover how to build some sort of schematic or blueprint in order for the helmet know which parts to hide when it's equipped from the mesh. Okay, so without with this out of the way, let me bring or hide again the helmet, and let's say that this is going to be our default character without any clothing at all. So we have the hair, the head, body, boots, gauntlets and legs. What I will do now is just to rename those and remove the prefix PT medieval male and just leave, for example, armor head, armor hair 1, 01 and so on and so forth. So they will match also the naming convention that we have or we should have in the female mesh. So let me go back to the avatar, because we also have here in the female mesh, we have similarly names: naked legs, gauntlets, boots, body. So we need to try to match these mesh names on both characters. So let's move on then for the next step. Okay, so let me bring back this game view, and let's save our prefab like we have it right now, and let's hit on play. And we make sure that everything still works as we had before, but you may notice some weird rotation in the knees, and this is easily to be fixed. So let's cover that before proceeding. So let me stop play mode, and what we need to do is go to the prefab, or the animation clip itself. So let's go to animations. This is the, let's say, the jog. We can see it here, and you will notice that if we were to play the clip, this weird rotation is already happening here. But look at this. Let me stop now, and then I click here the IK, toggle fit IK preview, and that fixed already the issue. So internally, Unity is actually not applying the IK fit logic to the animation, and that's the reason we have this weird rotation. And since we are using Animancer instead of the animator controller, where we can check, let's say, if we have an animator, let me just put this one here for the time being. We could just click here if we were using the animator controller to use the foot IK, but since we are not using animator controller and we are using Animancer, we need to handle this in the Animancer component. So let's go back to our player prefab, scroll down, and we have this character Animancer component. So let's open up this script, edit script, and from here the Animancer component itself is talking to the Unity playable graph component, and inside this playable graph component there is the foot IK, apply foot IK. So this is just one single line that we need to apply. So let's make one line here, and playable. This is a property in the Animancer component. Dot apply foot IK equals true. Of course, this means that we want to apply the foot IK for all the clips, the animations that we had running in the Animancer component. If you ever want to just apply the foot IK for specific clips, then you need to go to each state. Let's say, let's Unity compile. What about now? Okay, so we had in the scripts folder gameplay, behaviors, characters, states. Let's say the locomotion state. So if we were to open this state itself, you can at this level set the apply foot IK. So at the clips transition state level, sorry. Okay. But I'm happy with, I'm good with having it applied to all the states. So now if we were to test this one again, now we can see if we start jogging that the issue is fixed. Okay, so now to the point of the armor set. Let's continue. Okay, so let's start by opening up the prefab once again. And from here, what we want to do, let's start simple. Let's start by adding the helmet as an equipment. And because we need to somehow use string names for the schematics, let me press here F2 to go to edit mode, and let's rename this one to helmet, uppercase, helmet _A. Something to remember easy. Then also down below we have the hairs 01, so let me just remove all the first part, and also we have hair 20. And let's say that in our character customization we also selected the beard, so we know that if we are showing the beard it will also clip through the mesh of the helmet. So let's rename this one to beard 01 and beard 20. There we go. So we have now, when we are equipping the helmet, we need to hide either if we have both the beard meshes or the hair. Alright, and at this point we could also rename this one just to be consistent from what we are doing. So let's rename this one to head 01. If we were to choose in the character customization the head 02. And this is, again, this is the free version of Polygon Studio that I was granted permission to share with you guys. If you were using other type of character, let's say, I don't know, Synthes, I believe Synthes has both male and female in the same mesh, which makes things easier. Or if you were to use other characters from the asset store, like Quampang, for example, it has male and female separate already. But if you have your artist doing this from you, congratulations as well. Just make sure that follow that simple naming convention to make your life easier. So let's finish with these other meshes. So let's say from here I will take the naked and the naked boots and naked gauntlets, and lastly the naked legs. If you remember, the female mesh does not have this 0, so you either can just remove it from here or add it later on to the female character, if that is the case. Okay, so let's now move on the next section to build this helmet armor equipment in ORK editor.